Yelling is not a problem with your children. Yelling is a problem with you yourself.
Yes.
Yelling is your lashing out to people out of frustration. Yelling expresses your feeling of inadequacy, your feeling of incompetence, your feeling of hopelessness. That's what yelling is. So it's a personal struggle, right? It's not because the children are
doing the right thing or the wrong thing.
Doing the right thing
or the wrong thing. Yes, ma'am.
It's just that you as a parent, because a lot of us too are not experts in parenting.
Yes, ma'am.
And most people don't even read books. 80% of people who have children have never read a book on parenting. So you just assume that you can do it because your mother did. And how did your mother do it? By yelling.
Hello everyone and welcome to another wisdom-packed edition of Sarah's Kindred right here on Kingdom Word Radio. Kingdom Word Radio is your online gospel radio that helps you know Christ and live by his truths. On Sarah's Kindred, where we, women who fear the Lord, we have conversations on topics that encourage and strengthen us to live appropriately as people truly serving the Lord. I am Ikechi Odu, and on behalf of my team, I want to say welcome. You can be a part of this conversation by connecting with us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter with our handle at the KW Radio, or you can send us an email at radio@pastor.ng. Stay right there. We'll be right back shortly. Good to have you back again. If you're just tuning in, this is Kingdom Word Radio, and you are onto the program Sarah's Kindred. We'll be glad to have your contributions on all our socials, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, through our handle at the KW Radio. And now to our topic for today. We're going to be dealing with training teenagers part 2. Yes, if you could remember, some time ago we had our first episode on training teenagers, which was so impactful. And with Jesus' joy, to do justice to our conversation today, let's give a Sarah's Kindred welcome to Dr. Mrs. Anastasia Okudili Ojimba, fondly known as Mommy Ann. Mama, you are welcome to Sarah's Kindred today.
Good morning, listener. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Dr. Ojimba is a consultant public health physician. She's also the director at the Center for Communicable Disease Control and Research, Federal Medical Center, Asaba. An international scholar, she also anchors the Praise Creation International Ministries, which was founded by her late husband. She's the Delta State Board Chairman and African Board Member of Youth for Christ International. Dr. Ann is the founder of the Hefzibah Foundation for Widows, amidst many other organizations. She's blessed with 4 biological children and hundreds of adopted and spiritual children. Her ministry and testimony exalts God and the power of his resurrection in bringing hope to the hopeless, faith to the faithless, and in breaking barriers. Mama, once again, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ikechi. Thank you, listener out there.
Okay, so Ma, some ladies might just be saying, okay, my child is about navigating, is winning his or herself from this childhood stage into this teenage stage. And it's obvious that I have to start making some conversations that I feel shy about. I watch her navigating into puberty. I watched some conversations and questions she has started raising, or he has started raising. Ma, for a start today, can you just share some tips for that woman who is at this point watching her children outgrowing the childhood stage and making entry into their teenage years?
Teenage years are from the 13
Yes, ma.
to 19.
Yes, ma.
It's the bridge between childhood and adulthood. We say normal voting age is 18 in Nigeria. Other countries, 16-year-old children are allowed to work and all of that. So they are getting closer to adulthood. There's more transition into the things that adults do. But a 13-year-old child is still a teenager. And at the early break into teenage, there are certain things biologically that you expect to see. Most children at that age, especially the girls, they achieve menarche. That is when they have their first menstrual period. Now, the average age, some children menstruate at 9, some menstruate at 10, 11, 12, but averagely it is still between the age of 10 to 13. So we're expecting that your girl child has just achieved menarche or about to achieve menarche as she's entering 13. And with that comes a lot of hormonal changes. We all know that there are a lot of hormones, right, that is at work in the girl child at that age of menarche. For the boys too, a lot of them achieve menarche or their own type of menarche, equivalent of menarche, maybe 15, 16, 17, their voices break, they start having beards, and they grow up and start noticing girls and all of that. And all of that happen within that age range. Now, there are very general characteristics for teenagers, because if you understand their behavioral traits, you know what to expect. Now, the hormonal changes causes them to have feelings that they are not used to, and that could be a problem. So you see a child that used to be gaily playing all over the place suddenly becoming a bit withdrawn, becoming moody, becoming more aggressive, becoming more withdrawn, doesn't want to be with everybody, doesn't want to sit with the family and all of that. And then some of them have, like the girls, have breakouts. They have more of pimples, they have some eczemas, they have skin things, and these are body images that affect them. Of course, the breast grows bigger just before menarche and then during menarche and all of that. And some girls don't just want to have big breasts and and they don't want even to have breasts, because you see, as children, they were playing with boys in their class, and they look almost alike, except that maybe the girl plaits her hair and all that, but the chest of the boy is straight and the chest of the girl is straight, and suddenly things start changing. And then she now sees that she's growing this, and the first response for over 90% of teenage girls is embarrassment. So you want to hide this breast, and then suddenly blood starts flowing out of your body, and that could be the most scary experience if the mother, if the girl child was not prepared to expect menses and all of that. So how your child transits into teenage depends on the preparation you make in the pre-teen years. If it is possible for you to have discussed these things with the child, that, oh, you're going to get into teenage and there are going to be hormones, going haywire, flowing through your body, and these are some of the things you expect. The boys you want to play, used to play with, suddenly you dislike them, and then some girl children actually have a body odor, so it becomes very important to teach them hygiene, to teach them care of their body, teach them how to, have love for body image, to have a very good body image, because that's when the girls don't want to be girls anymore and the boys want to be girls for some reason, because they don't like how their body has turned into and what is happening with their body. So that's when you get to teach them all of that. And this also sometimes affects their character. You see a child that doesn't lie before now begins to lie, because generally there's this general attitude of wanting to hide what they're doing. They don't want to show it because they are ashamed of certain things happening to them. That is actually when children learn shame, and that's growing into that. So shame puts a lot of restraint in their truthfulness, the ability to say things like it used to be without, like a 7-year-old child will ask you what is a penis, but if you are talking to a 14-year-old and you mention penis, he feels embarrassed, wants to hide under the table and all of that, because not necessarily because the knowledge is more, but because they are now much more conscious of their body. And most times they are not happy with the changes that they are seeing on their body if they are not prepared to accept the fact that that is how you transit from being a child into an adult, and it's all beautiful. It's all beautiful. One scripture that must come to mind as you prepare your teenage children is when the Bible says in Psalm 139 verse 14 that I am fearfully and wonderfully made, and all that. Something that we must find a way to drum it into their head, that everything about you is just perfect. It's just beautiful. Yours might not look the same as Mr. B or another child, but you are just so beautiful the way you are made. And it's not something you say once. It's something you say like a million.
Wow, keep
times.
saying it.
You keep saying it. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. At no time in life does a teenage require affirmation as during that time, because you see, those hormones are also confusing. The feelings they are having is also confusing to them, and then different children evolve in different ways.
Yes, ma'am.
One of my children, my last baby, she just wakes up and starts crying, and she will cry and cry and cry. And what is the problem? Even she doesn't know. Oh, mommy, I just feel sad. Why do you feel sad? I don't know. And then she's crying and she's crying and she's crying, and that puts you on edge, right? You don't want to break down with her. At the same time, if you could choose to shout at her, which will make things worse. Now you give her a reason to shout, and she say, why are you being mean to me and all of that? I'm telling you. And so all of that, it needs a lot of understanding, and it needs parental presence. It needs parental presence. I don't know how your questions are going, but it's very, very important. No teenage child should have to evolve alone.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. The parent must walk through this process with the teenage child. Now, as your questions come, but I'll just give an example of what it means to be there. Now, apart from teaching, and these teaching sections, please don't make it casual. Don't make it casual. Make your girl child or your boy child understand that this is important. Now, there's something my husband used to do. He wake up a child by maybe 12 or 2 a.m., 3 a.m., wake up the child and say, come, let's talk. Man to man, right? And then wake up the girl child by 2 a.m. and say, I just want to talk. Me and you, I want to talk. We know parents nowadays are so busy.
Yes, ma.
And a lot of us don't really have optimal teaching moments. So you think you have just thrown it out there and all of that. But I realize that some of the things that formed the life of my children were the things that their father went out of his way intentionally.
Yes, ma.
2 a.m. he wakes up and that particular child, and the child feels very special. Me and daddy will want to have man-to-man talk tonight. And then usually they will go and steal my chicken or full cake and all of that, and there's drink, and the child feels that this is, can you imagine waking up at midnight?
It's like a date.
Going to rob mommy's pantry and all that. Now I get to eat a lot of meat and nobody's going to, and my siblings are not here, and it's just me and daddy.
Wow, that's so special.
And daddy will say, okay, I want to, how do you feel? Your school, do you like it? Do you have any challenges with your school? You are going to grow up soon to become a man, and you have things like hair growing, and soon your voice will be like, good morning, daddy, and all of that. And and then there are things that come with this, like the way you feel and all of that. And any child that is given this kind of, talk, it sticks. Number one, he holds it as a big memory because it's not something that happens often. And he doesn't have to know that you did it with the other children, even if he knew. But his own was very, very special. And he will go to school and say, my dad had a gist by 2 a.m. last night. This is what he said. This is what he said. And those things stick. Another thing I would like to say that we surprise everyone is we all think that mothers teach the children. It's not exactly like that. Mothers nurture the children.
Okay.
Fathers instruct the children.
Wow.
Research has shown that if a father sits with his girl child, like I just explained,
yes, ma,
and do a discussion on chastity or sexual abstinence, say that child is 100 times more likely to remain a virgin than if the mother did that talk.
Wow.
A girl child sees the mother as a rival. We are all and all of that. And both the girl and the mother are trying to get the attention of the father. But the first male figure, the first, crush every well-raised girl will have
is the daddy.
Oh, yeah. So if daddy calls you out personally and takes the time to explain the process of puberty and tells you the best thing to do is to postpone sexual activity until you are ready. If daddy says that in that environment, that girl child is more likely to keep to that than when the mother says it.
Wow.
So we are encouraging daddies. There's a program I used to run, I call it Father Me Well. We're encouraging daddies to learn. I know a lot of parents, fathers feel incapable of being able to talk about such matters. But honestly, it's not really about expertise as much as it is about just being available and taking the time to just connect with your children.
Wow.
And the information you need, you can always pick anywhere. And your children, actually, a lot of what you're saying, they would have heard it somewhere. But it makes a difference that you are the one delivering it. And the atmosphere at which you deliver it matters a lot. Now, I did mention that teenagers need a lot of affirmation. And one of the things we did for my first daughter was we did a shower for her when she achieved menarche. I had gone to work in South Africa, and I realized that they do that for virgins, like they call it virgin rights, right? Over there, the girls get naked and they celebrate them because they are young girls and they are virgins. The whole community celebrate them. And I thought, oh, this is a nice thing we could do in our house. And as soon as my daughter had the first menstrual period, my husband and I, we bought her a lot of beautiful things. And then we just wore her a ball gown. Wow. And she went out to dinner with her dad.
Wow, that's so sweet.
They were dancing, two of them after
awesome.
I mean, she felt like a
queen.
She felt like a queen. Although she was also shy because there were a lot of and they are asking, people will come pass by and say, what is happening? Say, this is my daughter. Today is her special day. They thought it was her birthday. But it wasn't her birthday. We're just celebrating the fact that she has achieved menarche. And her father were just dancing, and we're still praying her and all of that. And she can't ever forget that.
Wow.
So these are things that we should, find a way to build it into our family life. Children are getting more exposed. Parents must also try and sit down and find out ways to affirm their teenage children. I've talked about some of their characteristics, that the fact that they lack very good self-esteem. And so they are not sure. They are curious about everything. They want to try everything. The sense of risk is not well placed in their mind. And yet, they want to argue about... suddenly, it looks like they know everything. Yeah, they want to... Everything. As you say, sweep this place. Say, why? and all of that. So, those parent-child communication, parent-teenage communication... It's probably what I want to talk about maybe in our other section.
Okay.
But this one is, I just want the parents to know that your child is not strange. There's nothing happening to your child that is not happening to other children out there. And that teenage is a transition period. So you have to be there. You really, really have to be there. Both in their mind, in their physical, whatever. You have to be there to teach a girl child to know how to clean up herself, use her sanitary wares very well and all of that. You have to be there. You being there, part of being there also means setting boundaries. This is where, when you come back, this is where you go, this is where you don't go, and all that. This is how long you use the phone. This is how long you don't use the phone, because they want to know everything. They want to see everything. Especially in our world today where nothing is hidden again because of the internet and all of that. So they are, a lot of things you are even talking about, they already know. That's why it's very important that you set out that time, to pass on the values, pass on the things, expectations you have of them. And more importantly, we keep affirming. Each time they do something, oh, you swept this place well. You did it very well. Oh, thank you for doing that. But also let them know that there are consequences. So maybe in our second part, we also talk about discipline as children, teenage children. Right. So this is much. I don't know.
All right. Thank you so much, Ma. Okay, we're already running out of time on our first segment, but Ma, I don't know whether in 2 or 3 minutes you can give a word of counsel or encouragement to the woman who finds herself in a home where, like you have already said, the father role is not being played, maybe he's living overseas, or he's not just an available dad, and there's this lacuna already, what's, just in a minute or two, can you give a word of counsel to that wife and mother?
Yeah, there are different reasons why the father might not be
Yes,
available.
ma. Yes, ma.
Either the man has died, in which case the woman is widowed, or there's a divorce.
Yes, ma. Yes,
separation,
ma.
Right? Or it's just a father that is not available.
Yes.
He's a father, but he's not there. Maybe he's working outside home, or he's just not interested.
Yes.
All of those are very difficult scenarios, because traditionally, my husband used to say that it's not easy for a woman to raise a man, or for a man to raise a woman, a girl to a woman, or so it has to be both. Now, I will like to say that one of the things you can do to help is, as a woman, educate yourself.
Okay.
Educate yourself, train yourself properly. Naturally, fathers are more savvy than mothers, because they have information on things that are going on. Okay, after my husband passed on, I knew I had to read about cars, different kinds of cars and races. I need to read about. And once my children were reading the Clash of the Titans and Greek mythology, I didn't read the whole thing, but I tried to just get a general gist of what they're doing. And then, as they were growing up, I honestly watched all their major cartoons, Mulan, Lion King. I might not watch it, everything, but I try to get the general gist,
storyline
or whatever. And then I bought a lot of books. I didn't raise my children with the internet. That was too much for me. But they had books. I bought books. They were books. And most of those books, I just tried to get a general picture of what is it, so I can talk. So when they are talking about Poseidon, they are talking about Medusa and all of those things in Greek mythology, right? I have an idea. If you talk about Mulan, and there's this very funny figure in Lion King, that is a native doctor. So I used to know his name. I will know that is Lion King they're talking about, and different other things they do. So a woman who is faced with this, please understand your limitation and try and feed up on that, get learning. Another thing is, look for father figures.
Oh my.
In the church.
Wow.
In your family.
Wow.
And make your children accountable to them. Please don't send your children to people who will molest them. Right? People have sent their girls to their uncles or relations, or even their brothers have molested their girls. But that is the bad stories. That's not to say that the good
ones don't exist.
There are fathers who have molested their children, but children still need fathers.
Yes, ma.
So find father figures. Find father figures. There are things I couldn't, maybe won't come. There are things I couldn't do for my son, that just one or two brothers, that he stayed with during holiday will say, okay, go stay with this person and all that. And he has a family, go stay with that family. Just be there. And they learned a lot, from staying with those father figures. Really, training is not just about talking. So even if you hear, this is how a man should behave, and you try to tell your son, until somebody
models
it out
yes, ma.
for them.
Yes, ma.
It's not easy for them to understand.
Yes,
it.
ma.
So learn a lot of things yourself, but find out father figures that can model fatherhood to your children. That way, you would have helped a lot.
Thank you so much, ma. Thank you so much. Now, that was so and so elaborate, so key. This is still Sarah's Kindred on Kingdom-WORD Radio. We're going to continue this conversation after this break, but you can join us on this conversation on all our socials, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter through our handle at the KW Radio. Please stay tuned. Good to have you back again. This is Sarah's Kindred, and this is still Kingdom-WORD Radio. So today we'll be talking about training teenagers too. And please, I want to encourage us to visit our streaming platforms like Google Podcasts and Spotify, and check out our first edition on training teenagers. Now, so far, Dr. Ojimba has done an amazing work. We have already kicked off by discussing how parents can navigate, the transition from childhood to teenage years. And she has been dropping amazing tips along the way, including how women can, cope with, fathers not being present in the picture regardless of what situation it is. Once again, thank you so much, Ma. We've been so blessed already. There's a lot of light and clarity being shared already. Now, going forward, Ma, you already said yourself that you want to build more on bridging the gap in relating, communicating, learning or speaking the teenagers' language, I guess, if you want to capture it that way. So, Ma, just in a few minutes before we move to another question, what would you have to say when it comes to how parents can break that gap? That's, what would they call it, generational gap between they themselves and their teens. They said boys are from here and girls are from here. And at times when it comes to parenting, it's as if teenagers are from another world and parents are from another world. Please, Ma, with few tips like you're already doing, can you bridge this gap and really, on Sarah's Kindred, like to be practical, make it as practical as possible for our women to be able to use this even in their homes?
Thank you, Kechi.
Yes, Ma.
Hello, listener out there. Now, the singular most common complaint that teenagers have is, my parents don't get it. They don't understand. And so if you have this at the back of your mind, then it should affect the way you relate with them. Parent-child communication, not parents talking to child or child talking. It's a communication. Communication is a two-way thing. It means you send a message to the person and make sure that the message is clear, and then you get a feedback.
Okay.
And you make sure that you also understand feedback. In fact, communication is not complete until you get the feedback. So when we talk about parent-child communication, we want to talk about, first of all, how do you communicate? Your voice, type, as much as possible. Don't let children push you to the place where you keep yelling and yelling. It doesn't work. Children don't hear you because you have yelled. No. Yelling upset them. Yelling, it makes them feel on the defensive. So when you want to deliver, let your children understand that when you say something, even with a quiet note, you mean it. And when you say something, please say it very clearly. Those of you who work in big companies, when you set a goal for yourself, or you want to give something task to your subordinate, you break it down into small activity and everybody understand. So for instance, you want to go out and you tell your teenager, clean the house. In your mind, you believe that the teenager should understand what it means to
Clean the house.
And it means you should sweep, you should mop, you should arrange the flower, you should whatever,
Dust the surfaces.
you should dust the surfaces and all that. And many of you come back, and when you say clean the house, they only sweep, they don't dust, they don't mop, and they don't arrange things. And you come and start shouting, I said you should clean this house. But that child is like, okay, I did clean the house. And that's why a lot of teenagers actually feel that the parents are unfair to them, that the parents are unjust, and that they were accused unjustly. Because in their mind, they did what they understood by the instruction you gave. So, when you want to give an instruction, please break it down.
Sweep the floor.
Sweep
the floor.
Then
mop.
Then arrange the flowers.
Oh my.
And dust the surface.
And dust the surfaces. Clearly.
So, usually, communication is two-way. So, you want to know, what did I say? And let them take it out by the hand and make sure. You see, we're always in a hurry. You can't be in a hurry with your teenager when it comes to instructions. Make sure they understand what you say. And if they have a problem with it, listen to them. Don't say, no, listen. Okay. It's possible they don't have soap. There's no water. And if that's, they are trying to say, and you say, oh, I don't want to listen. Just do what I ask you to do. But always have a room where they will talk.
Okay.
Have a room where they will talk. Once I asked my children, I gathered them together and said, tell me how I can be a better mother to you.
Really? You can say that?
Yes.
Okay.
What can I do? You know? At that time, I think 2 of them were teenagers. 2 were, one was a preteen, and the other one was 8 or so. And he said, well, what everybody said is, can you just reduce the number of times you yell?
Okay, Ma, please, can I ask you about this yelling thing? You know, we are actually talking to women and our continent, like we have this comical African mother comedy that is always trending. How can the African mother stop yelling, or any mother at all? How can we do that practically? I'm watching you talking and I can see that composure, and you just said it. Okay, you have to stop yelling. How do we do that?
Yelling is not a problem with your children. Yelling is a problem with you yourself.
Yes.
Yelling is your lashing out to people out of frustration. Yelling expresses your feeling of inadequacy, your feeling of incompetence, your feeling of hopelessness. That's what yelling is. So it's a personal struggle, right? It's not because the children are
doing the right thing or the wrong thing.
Doing the right thing
or the wrong thing. Yes, ma'am.
It's just that you as a parent, because a lot of us too are not experts in parenting.
Yes, ma'am.
And most people don't even read books. 80% of people who have children have never read a book on parenting. So you just assume that you can do it because your mother did. And how did your mother do it? By yelling. So you just copy it. Yelling is not about the children. Yelling is about the mother or whoever is yelling. It's the mother's way of expressing her frustration, her incompetence, hopelessness, and all of that emotion going on in her. Truth be told, most mothers are not prepared for training. Most
Okay.
parents are not prepared for training.
Okay, ma.
I did a survey once and I found out that over 80% of people who are receiving their first children have not read anything on parenting. I mean, at least if you are getting married, you go to premarital
Class, yes, ma.
But there's no parenting class in most churches. And people assume
They know.
that you will know. They assume that you will know how to raise your child. And so when you have your child, the best example you can draw on is how your mother parented you. And how did our mothers parented us? It's by yelling. So that's how we carry over that yelling. And people just think that when you shout, your children hear. No. Actually, younger children, they are not very kind. Right? A younger child actually will go out of the way to needle you and bring you to that place where you yell. I don't know what they get out of it, but for them, it's a game of who is going to take the upper hand.
Wow.
Whether you or they.
So true, though.
So children do that. They want to push you and
push your buttons.
Push your buttons to the stage where you lose control. And once you lose control, they
won.
So that's why.
Oh my.
That's why yelling is something you decide to deal with.
You have to overcome it.
You have to deal with it.
Wow.
And you have to understand that saying something once is enough.
Really?
Once you understand it and your child understands it, they take it like that. Make sure the child is looking at you. You have eye contact with the child.
Okay.
And say, I said, drop that knife. Once. And after that, let there be consequences. Either you want to walk away or you want to whatever. But it's always good. Some children, when you're talking to them, they pretend they didn't hear you. They are doing other things. They want to just keep pressing your buttons until you break down, you start hollering and all of that. But don't learn how to play that game. There are parenting books that teach you a little bit of how to do all of that.
Yes.
How to be able to rein your anger in, because you are not even supposed to discipline a child with anger.
Wow, okay.
Neither are you supposed to correct a child when you're very angry. So we are talking about parent-child communication. That it's very important that your child understands exactly what you're saying. And it's also important that you listen and try to understand what your child is saying. Alright? So let it be a situation where you say, and I said, like I said before, I asked them, how do I be a better mother? And they said, okay, stop yelling. And then, sometimes you spare the younger ones and all of that. And I explained why, right? The fact that they ask you questions does not mean you have lost control.
Okay.
All it means is that you explain to them why this is so. And in communication, make sure that your rules are, your boundaries and the rules in the house are maintained. If the sleeping time is 9 o'clock, don't break it yourself.
Okay.
Don't allow them break it.
Okay.
Keep it. It's better for them. Even if the child is not ready to sleep, let them lie on the bed, switch it off. Children learn better in an atmosphere that is regimented. But, regimentation gives a form of
structure
and stability. Stability, okay. For a growing child who is evolving, it's like flowing, it's not sure. But coming home and letting it be a home where there is some sort of stability okay, tomorrow morning, mommy is going to be there, daddy is going to be there, this is breakfast time, this is sleeping time. It helps the child at least has one thing to fall back on while the child is trying to navigate through all the plenty things that is pouring into their brain. But if you don't have structure where, people just do what they like, nobody knows when the time to, come back home and all of that. It's difficult to control when suddenly you say, make sure you come late. Don't come back. Make sure you come back by 7 o'clock today. But if there's already a structure that, everybody comes home
by this time.
By this time.
Yes, ma.
People grow into it and know that in this home, this is when we come home. In this home, when you wake up in the morning, you go and greet daddy. Good morning. It's a structure that we know. When we wake up, we come out to pray. It's a structure that we have. At teenage, children will want to question that. Then that's when the consequences kick in. So you are not trying now to teach them a new habit. They are trying to walk away from a habit they have learned over the years, and of course you can bring in your consequences and all of that. So those are very, very paramount. So I don't know if you have them.
Okay, yes, ma. Thank you so much, ma.
Yeah.
This is a very good way of entering into our next question that is a little bit more, will I say, intricate, or a little bit needs more depth. Let's navigate into a core. Let's look further into our society. Ma, even in the church today, the reality of drug abuse and sexual perversion is something we can no longer sweep under the carpet. Please, ma, can you just give a word of counsel to parents navigating teenagers that are dealing with sexual perversions and or vices and drug abuse? Just a word of counsel in a couple of minutes, ma.
Okay. Starting, I'm writing a book. The title is Teaching Your Child to Say No.
Okay.
It's I've been doing quite a bit of research on that. How do you teach your child to be assertive? And it's very, very important because a lot of children who veer into drugs, smoking as teenagers, do that because of peer pressure. And peer pressure, it's something that happens or have bad effects when a child cannot say no. When a child is scared of standing alone. When a child cannot say, this is me, I will not do this. Right? Okay. How does that happen? Training up little children the way you relate to them. If a child wants to play with a toy, for instance, and all the time you choose for that child. Now, you might think this is an obedient child, but what you're doing is that you're robbing that child the ability to make a decision for themselves. So, yes, you guide, even at an early age. But if they are going to church, for instance, please, these are your church clothes. Which one do you want to wear today? Some children like one particular kind of shoe. And that is the shoe they want to wear.
Maybe because it's comfortable or something.
For whatever reason.
For whatever dress, that particular shoe.
For whatever reason. They like it. Sometimes don't beat them down. It is their choice. It doesn't make sense to you. They are more beautiful clothes. You have spent money buying some other clothes, and that dress is going to make this child look somehow. But you see, at that moment, what is at stake is not what the outsiders are thinking. You are worried about what people will think, how they will see your children. what is at stake at that moment is that child's power to make a decision.
Okay.
That's what's at stake.
Yeah.
So you say, I want to wear this. Allow him. And then find a teaching moment where you are able to explain to him that these other ones are fine too. But when he is going to wear, let it be that he is the one
That decided
chose
it. Okay.
what. So you try to convince him, but let him be the one who
To choose.
To choose.
To choose.
So that way you are building up a child who can stand up on his own. I chose this pair of shoes. So if he goes to school and they say, oh, it's not fine. In fact, usually when they choose that shoe, they think it's the finest thing on the whole wide world. That is the only way a child can be different from the peers and still feel good.
And confident.
When he has learned how to be able to make decisions on his own and all of that. So each time a child makes good decision, praise them for it. Affirm it. That is the first thing, I want to say. Let's build up our children and teach them how to, stand on their own. Take a decision and stand on it. And choose what they want to eat, when and where, and all of that. Now, I am not saying that you should give in to all the tantrums of a child. No. Don't give in to all the tantrum, but explain why, and still provide opportunity for them. Okay, you want to go and eat burger. You say, okay, we will go to Mr. Biggs, but burger is this, burger is good. Can you choose something else apart from burger? But we'll go to that your favorite place. So it's a give and take.
Yes, ma.
Right?
Yes, ma.
So that the child doesn't feel that, oh, I cannot choose on my own.
I don't have a say.
I don't have a say. I always need to follow
all instructions all the time.
And look like the others. So that is very key. The second thing is parents need to teach their children about the danger of drugs. Before the child sees the drug, please teach them about it. Teach them that some of these drugs are put in sweet and all that. Because if you teach a child about drug, you show the whole picture. Like you show the mad people, old people, and the effect, those who... Because if they watch it on television, what they will saw are the people dancing and the seeming
intelligence,
looking as if they have fun because they are taking drugs. But you, first of all, whatever topic there is, as much as possible, make sure you give that training and that talk. And once you have done that, another thing that is important is, please don't show an example to your child that the child will... If you smoke cigarette, it's difficult to teach your child not to smoke cigarette. If you drink alcohol, and a lot of parents think they are smart, you want to hide it. You can't hide it. You can't hide it. Look, I tell parents, if you drink alcohol, the best thing to do is bring the alcohol, sit the child down, take a glass of beer, maybe give him half a glass, and say, this is it. I'm not hiding it from you, but you are not of age. You will drink when you are as old as I am. But don't pretend as if you are not drinking alcohol. Don't pretend as if you are not smoking. No, don't pretend. Tell the child, oh, this is what this is doing. I'm addicted to this. And I'm struggling with it. I'm trying to stop.
Wow.
I'm trying to stop.
It's very vulnerable.
Yes, I'm trying to stop. Wow. So I don't want you to get into it and all of that. It's better to do that than to lie about it. Than to say, oh, and all, and I don't do it. Because the children will find out, no matter how you hide it, a child will find out. If you drink, if you smoke, and all of that, they will find out. And also pay attention to the kind of friends your children go out with.
Okay.
Please know who they are.
Okay.
Know where they are from. Don't, as much as possible, allow your children to bring their friends home. Yes, allow your children to bring their friends home. So you can be on the background. Make cookies for them. Buy them drinks, soft drinks. While you, from the background, you are watching. And you are hearing how the children are discussing and all that. And then find out who are the parents of your children's friend and all of that. Find out them. And then set rules like coffee time, right? A child who is in secondary school shouldn't just go away from school and start going somewhere and all of that. There should be rules. If you are going to a party, I should know who you are going to, the parent of the party in the party. Most times I would like to come and drop my children at the house, and then as I'm there, I'm talking with the parent of the child who is having the party and all of that. So it gives me an idea of who, the type of people
you're leaving your children with.
I'm leaving my children with. So that is it. School groups and all of that. Send your children to schools where they pay attention to things like that. I know that a lot of us might not afford to send children to private school, but there are mission schools where they teach about the fear of the Lord and all of that. And look into your children's things, like their bags, their whatever. If a child is using things, there's no way you will not find it. No, don't ensure that you oversee how your children manage the small monies you give to them. Like, you can give a child pocket money, right? But what does a child do with the money?
Okay.
You need to know.
Okay.
You need to know. You need to know how much money the child is spending on what. Accountability is, if I give you money, you need to tell me what you spent the money for and what it was used for. So these are all little tips of how you prevention, honestly, is better
than cure.
Yeah. So if you put all of this in place, then you can protect these children. Like children who are forced into court and they are beaten and all of that. I don't know how you beat my child in school and the child comes home and I don't see it.
The wounds.
I don't see them. They will tell you they are falling. They will tell, but there's no way you can not know that the child's mood, it
has changed.
It's like there's a story of a child who died in one secondary school, somewhere at the west and all that. But one of the things they said is when the child came home during one of the holidays, that he was so withdrawn. He was so. How I wish it was possible for a parent to go closer
and talk to the child.
Well, there's no guarantee that he will talk the first time or second time or third time. But I bet you, if you keep going close, if you keep asking, if you find those teaching moments, those moments of communication,
thank you.
One day he's going to tell you that, I don't like my school. And a child, even if he one way to ring a bell in your ear is when a child tells you, Mommy, can you put me in another school? Don't ever
shut the child down.
Shut the child down. Don't tell the child it's the best school in the country. When a child tells you, please, can you take me to another school? Please find out.
Why?
Find out why. Take it very serious.
Okay.
I don't want to go to that school again. Please find out why. Most people who have neglected that have run into trouble. So these are the little tips. They can't be exhaustive.
It can't.
There's so much to talk about, but
thank you so much, Ma. Thank you so much, Ma. There's been so much, like I said before, there's been so much light. Mommy Ann, thank you so much for joining us for this recording. God bless you. Thank you for pouring out your love in vulnerability, with clarity, and with so much calm. This brings us to the end of today's edition, but you can listen again and again and again, as well as all other episode referred in this episode, that is Training Teenagers 1, on all our streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music, using our handle at the KW Radio. Feel free to share with your loved ones and that woman that really needs to hear this today. Till we meet again on another episode of Sarah's Kindred, continue to be full of joy and peace in all the seasons of your life. Amen.